Hi students, good morning. Yesterday we discussed about the first two chapters of Indian nationalism. Today we are going to discuss the next chapters. First of all, we are going to discuss the third chapter towards civil disobedience. There were many events occurred for the starting of civil disobedience. First of all, the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement when it turned violent was a main reason. Likewise, within the Congress, many peoples argued to return to politics and contest election to oppose government policies and to argue reforms. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru found the Swaraj Party, but some others argued agitations. During this time, some factors also happened for shaping the Indian politics. The main factors were the Simon Commission of 1928 and the Great Economic Depression of 1930. The Simon Commission was a statutory commission under the person Simon. This commission was constituted to see the working of constitutional system and also to suggest changes. It was an all-white commission, and that is why it was opposed by the Indians. Therefore, a major slogan was also raised against the Simon Commission. It was "Go back, Simon." During this time, a worldwide economic depression was occurred. This depression was also affected Indian economy also. The agricultural prices were slashed, the exports were declined, the peasants found it difficult to pay revenue, etc. were some of the results of the Great Depression of 1930. The Lahore session of Congress of 1929. It was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. It demanded Purna Swaraj. It declared celebration of Independence Day on 26 January 1930. The pledge to struggle for complete independence was the main result of Lahore session. During this time, the Salt March also occurred. Gandhiji sent a letter to Irwin by stating 11 demands. Some of them were general and some of them were the specific demands. But the main demand was that to abolish the salt tax. But there were no response from Irwin. That is why Gandhiji started a salt march and joined by many people. While reaching in Dandi, Gandhiji violated the salt law and he manufactured salt. This even led to the starting of civil disobedience movement throughout the India. The calling of civil disobedience movement. During the civil disobedience movement, a lot of Congress leaders like that of Abdul Ghaffar Khan were arrested. A lot of violent clashes in many places were occurred and it resulted in the police firings. Gandhiji was also arrested. And after that, a lot of more violent clashes were begun. The peaceful satyagrahis were attacked, the women and children were beaten, and also a lot of people were arrested. That is why at last Mahatma Gandhi compelled to call off the movement. The relaunch of civil disobedience movement. Gandhiji entered into a pact with Irwin. This is known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. As a result of that, Gandhiji agreed to take part in the second roundtable conference. The government took measures to release the political prisoners. But when the negotiation at roundtable conference were broke, Gandhiji returned to India. Government resorts to brutal repression and they again arrested a lot of Congress leaders. Then Congress declared as that is illegal. Therefore, Gandhiji again relaunched the civil disobedience movement. It is very crucial how the participants saw the civil disobedience movement when it was called off. There were a lot of participants were included in this movement. The rich peasants, poor peasants, business community, workers, and even also the women were the part of civil disobedience movement. All of them have their own reasons to participate in this movement. The hit by trade depression and falling prices were the main reason of rich peasants. They were unable to pay the revenue. The resentment over the refusal of reduction in revenue demand were also their main demand while participating in the civil disobedience movement. Therefore, all of them joined in civil disobedience movement. For them, it was the struggle against a high revenue. But they were disappointed when the civil disobedience movement was called off. The poor peasants too faced a similar problem as rich peasants. Depression made it impossible to pay rent to landlords. Therefore, they were also become a part of the civil disobedience movement. The Congress is not willing to support poor tenants, fearing it might upset the rich peasants. Therefore, we can see inactive participation also from the side of poor and small peasants. The business community were also a part of the civil disobedience movement. They demanded protection against the imports and fixed exchange ratio. They set up the Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1921 and Federation of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries in 1924. Even though they were also supported the civil disobedience movement, the failure of Round Table Conference lost their interest in civil disobedience movement. Growing socialism in Congress and militant activities kept them away from civil disobedience movement when it relaunched. The workers only have a limited participation in civil disobedience movement. This was because of the closeness of Congress with the business community. They were engaged in some sort of boycott against low wages and poor working conditions. The Congress reluctant to include their demands, fearing the alienation of industrialists. We can see the large scale participation from the side of women. They were a part of the marches in the salt manufacturing and picketing of foreign clothes and liquor shops, and some of them even ready to went to jail also. The women began to see this as a service to the nation, and they also see it as a sacred duty. The limits of civil disobedience movement. All social groups were not aware about the concept of Swaraj. One such group were the Dalits or untouchables. The Congress was also ignored the Dalits by fearing the opposition from the high caste Hindus. But Mahatma Gandhi ignored this. He told, if we need the Swaraj, the untouchability must be eliminated. Therefore, he opposed all forms of untouchability. He called them as Harijans, which mean the children of God. He dignified their work. He organized a satyagraha for their entry into temples and other public places. Many Dalit leaders like B.R. Ambedkar sought political endowment. They organized a depressed classes association in 1930 and demanded separate electorates in Second Roundtable Conference. Gandhiji ruled out their demands. Pune Pact of 1932 between Gandhiji and Ambedkar granted reserved constituencies to Dalits. However, the Dalits remained uneasy towards the national movement. Likewise, the Muslims also. Decline of the Khilafat non-cooperation movement alienated the Muslims from Congress. Open association of Congress with Hindu Mahasabha to widen the gap. The militant passions in both communities provoked clashes and riots. Difference cropped up on the issue of representation in future assemblies. Muslim League demanded separate electorate which Hindu Mahasabha rejected. Both communities were filled with suspicion and distrust. The Muslims feared the domination of Hindus, and also they feared that it will lose their cultural identity. Next, we are going to analyze the last chapter, the sense of collective belonging. This chapter mainly discussing about the history, fiction, folklore, etc., which were raised among Hindus. During this time, Vande Mataram of Bankim Chandra Chatterjee began to sing widely in nationalist movements. History began to be reinterpreted. Indians began to write about their glorious past and how the colonial masters degraded it. These two posed a lot of problems. The images and symbols used by nationalists began to be viewed through the religious sentiments also. During this time, nation came to be seen in images of Bharat Mata. The Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay created the first images of Bharat Mata. Various other artists portrayed Bharat Mata in different forms. Nationalists began collecting folklore and legends to preserve traditions and discover national identity. Nadesha Shastri brought out a collection of Tamil tales, the folklore of southern India. He assumed the character of national literature was trustworthy expression of people's thought and characteristics. Symbols like flags sought to unite and inspire people about nationalism. All these were the main points which were noted from the nationalism in India. Now our chapter come to an end. I hope all of you understood the points very well. I am expressing my sincere thanks to all of you who watched this whole video. Thank you. Thank for all. Bye.